Good morning, everyone. My name is Alena Muravska from the RIPE NCC, and I'm going to present RIPE NCC Internet Measurement Tools for the good of your Internet. Actually, I've been given similar presentation on another NOC. The presentation title was slightly different. I called it For the Good of the Internet. And then I was in the room full of network operators, big companies, and I thought, why would they care about for the good of the Internet? Everyone cares about their own network. So I felt a bit silly. I thought, next time I'm going to present on this on another NOC, I'm going to change my title for the good of your Internet to make it more attractive for my audience. However, yesterday I heard Danesh speaking in this room. Then he addressed you, the UKNOF community, and he said that you might all be competitors, but in the end, you work together because you do care about the good of the Internet. So I'm wondering how it feels for you, and I would like to hear from you. What do you think when we are on a coffee break? So keep that in mind, please, because I'm very curious about your thoughts. So the RIPE NCC, as I was actually surprised by the knowledge about the RIPE NCC that was just presented by our lovely host, that many actually don't know that the RIPE NCC is not only the registry, the regional internet registry, but we are also a networking coordination group. So we do care about the good of the Internet, and it's also part of our mission, which states that we care about the innovative and stable Internet. We execute that mission by being a center for excellence for data measurement and tools, and so today I'm going to present a few of these tools to you. I would like to ask how many of you are already familiar with the tools like the RIPE Atlas, RIPEstat. So I was expecting to see a lot of hands. However, just if you know everything what I'm going to talk about, just consider this talk as a feel-good talk. It's always good to feel good about that you know already so much. But I still hope you will find something new, and it also makes you feel good. Anyway, let's move to the first service, which is Routing Information Service. So RIS, Routing Information Service, is a routing data collection platform. So we collect BGP data from peers and store BGP messages and routing table dumps. We have this data started from 1999. And if you're interested in reading long but very well-written documents, I link here one, RIPE 200, which was written in October, actually published in October 99, that really explains why we need RIS, and it's good to see that so many years further that's still a stable service that we provide. So we do provide all historical data since then is available, but also the new data, and it's all publicly available. So what's the difference between this RIS data and RIPE database, like root object in the RIPE database? So RIS shows what is really happening on Internet right now. It's information in real time. On the opposite side, you have information in the RIPE database, which was done at a certain point of time. There's an intention that shows what is intention for the routing. And this data might be outdated, which can happen, or simply not true because it was never happened that way. But RIS shows you the real information. So if there are people here in the room who administer objects in the RIPE database, this might be a call for you to double check whether your root object is actually shows what's actually happening. There is also a great tool to check this routing consistency, this discrepancy between RIS and RIPE database. Just make a note, I will talk about that a bit later when I'll move to my next topics. So why do we collect BGP data? I'm sure I don't have to explain it to you. You know about networking much more than I do. But just as a refresher, as BGP doesn't have built-in security mechanisms, routing incidents are not that rare, that troubleshooting is difficult because routing problems and looking glasses are temporary. So BGP history is recorded to track what's happened, and because we keep all that data, you can easily go back and see what happened, like even if it happened yesterday or even years ago. So that better visibility creates greater security, and it lowers in the end risk on BGP attacks. So we collect this BGP data through so-called remote root collectors. There are currently 23 collectors around the world. They are deployed at IXPs. And there are many, many sessions, peering sessions that are recorded from more than 600 peers ISs. So this table shows you an overview where these root collectors are located. They are shown chronologically, so you see that the second after Amsterdam, this is where we are based as RIPE NCC, was London. So other people here from the room from Links, I thought I saw someone on the attendee list. Anyway, big thanks to Links for being a partner on RIS for 23 years already. So who is RIS for? Who are the stakeholders that can benefit from this service? Of course, first of all, network operators to monitor internet routing and to troubleshoot incidents. They're also using this to build other tools based on the RIS data. It's also used a lot by researchers. And we have such researchers in the room, like Josh. They investigate interesting, notable routing incidents, but also build their own tools. And for policymakers, I would add also for decision makers that can make better decisions based on the information provided by RIS. On the practical side, so how can you use RIS? And maybe there is something that you didn't know. There are different ways how you can consult RIS data. And I would like to mention everything on my slides are linked. So you can, once the presentation is shared, you can use it as a guide. So I added all the links so it's easy. So if you click on raw data, it will bring you into the page where you can actually view that. And you can also scan the QR codes to get, right now, to get the pages that I'm talking about. So RIS can be consulted as raw data in the form of archive MRT files, as live stream. The screenshots on the slide is showing how live stream looks like. It's also available as RIS WHOIS, as WHOIS query interface. And we have also a lot of widgets, visualizations that are using RIS data in RIPEstat, which I'll show next. As I mentioned, RIS is a great base for many other tools that are created by the community. And here I linked just a few of them. The first one, it provides a dashboard that shows different aspects of internet routing system. The BGP alerter was created by our former colleague from RIPE NCC, Massimo Candela. There are also research projects like Internet Health Report and IODA. Is any in the room who is using these tools? Are they known to you? Yeah, one person. Great, two people. So I see not that many. Please check them out. There are great tools, and we are happy that community is using it. So that was RIS, and now I will show you RIPEstat, and just a disclaimer that won't be like a full demo because it's impossible to do this presentation. So and I'm seeing that I use quite some of my time, so I'll have to rush through the rest of my slides more quickly. So RIPEstat. So RIPEstat is basically information service for all internet-related data. So it has a very nice structure and visualization to show you the data that we were just talking about, like RIS, but also other data. It provides information on IP address space, on IS numbers, country code, etc., etc. And it also does a lot of nice visualization. So because I'm not able to do a demo because it's a presentation, they're just static slides, but if you scan this QR code with your phone, it will bring you to the RIPEstat page, and then you can do this, check it in live. Before we do that, just a few words about what data sources RIS uses, RIS RIPEstat uses. So we have more than 35 different data sets, so quite a lot. So you can find a tons of different information, and we are also adding constantly new data sources. So it's it's a very great tool to have everything in one place. So a quick intro. So when if you haven't scanned the QR code, there is another one for your convenience on this slide as well. It will bring you to this page. It's like a launch web page, which will take automatically the IP address where you are located, but also give you like some suggestions, some interesting suggestions that you might find interesting to look into. But you can search on like IP prefix, IPv4, IPv6, IS number, country code, a fully qualified domain name. So the widgets, like the infocasts that you get, are really based on the type of the search that you do. So it's not the same. It will be different for different type of your search. And you can also play this time frame. So maybe you want only to know what's happening, how it looks now, maybe half a year, or maybe you want to look at the developments of the 10 years or even more. So you can play with more timelines. Also, when you click on this infograph or expand, you can get more information, and the info card will also show you like the background. If you don't understand what you are seeing, it explains exactly what it is. A few use cases. For example, if you type the country code, in this case I did for the United Kingdom, you will see interesting stats on the country. And because this is a screenshot, it didn't allow me to put all infocasts. There are much more. So please have a look and play yourself with that. A very interesting tool is BGP Play. I know many operators love that tool. It's based on RIS data, which I just introduced, and shows the routing history related to a specific set of resources. And it visualizes all the changes. So when you do that, actually in a RIPEstat, it will all move, and it's very interactive. It's not as static as on my slides. Routing consistency, which I already mentioned before, that shows you actually that difference between what is shown in a RIPE database and what is shown in real world as seen by RIS. And it also shows the RPK validation status, if applicable. So you can do that on your own resource, and you will see, do I need to update a root object in database or not? Or maybe someone you peer with needs to do that. So it's a very good tool. Another use case, it's upstream visibility, which provides a way to show routing data on a specific prefix. Another one is routing check. It's a really comprehensive routing check that provides routing status of your prefix and many, many other things, because I was not able to put it in one slide. So you see here 2 slides what is actually possible to do this RIPEstat. So I hope it made you interested enough just to use it and to play around this RIPEstat after this talk. You can also build your own visualizations if you use RIPEstat Data API. So it's also linked and QR coded here for your convenience. So next is RIPE Atlas. So RIPE Atlas actually is something different, because when RIPEstat is a kind of one shop for all data, RIPE Atlas is one of the measurement platforms that also feeds that data to RIPEstat. It's RIPE NCC measurement platform, which is based on the global network of devices, which are called probes or anchors, and they actively measure internet connectivity, reachability, and performance. Anyone can access this data. So this data is not only limited to those who actually have those devices like Atlas probes or anchors, but only RIPE Atlas users can perform customized measurements to gain information about their own networks. So are here in the room anyone who is hosting Atlas probe or anchor? Wow, also quite a few. That's really great to see. For those who is not less familiar, here a bit of information about these devices. So we have currently more than 12,000 Atlas probes and almost 800 Atlas anchors. So the pictures show how these devices look like, however they don't scale. So Atlas probe is really a tiny one, but I had to put a bigger picture so you can see just something. So they collect really a lot of results per second, so you can see the numbers on the screen. There are many, many measurements running at this given time. What's the difference between these two devices, you might ask? So actually, the probe is a much smaller device, it's much easier to install, while anchors, there are more requirements to install anchors. They are can be installed only in data centers. But they are more reliable and they more stable than probes. Both devices, by the way, are available as virtual machines. So that's easier to install for some people. And actually, we are happy that option, because sometimes it was for us difficult to ship Atlas probes to some parts of the world, and virtual machines, they provided opportunity. So this picture shows geographical distribution. However, because there are so many Atlas probes in the UK, it's hard to see where is what. But just you see that much more in the south of the country and a bit less to the north. You also see the numbers, how many are connected at this moment, but also we have some that are disconnected and abandoned. So the call is for those who have abandoned their Atlas probes, just to put it back online. And actually, we hear a lot of stories why these Atlas probes get disconnected, because sometimes your colleagues don't know what's the thing, and they just unplug it, and that's the end of the story. So that's why virtual machines in that regards are also better than hardware. This table shows network coverage in the UK. So what you see AS numbers, the most populated AS numbers, and how many probes there are on this network. And I must say, if you don't see your own company here and you know you are hosting Atlas probe, doesn't mean it is not on the list. Just the list is very long, and I couldn't only make a screenshot from the top of the list. Also, you see that some networks don't have Atlas probes, so if you are from one of these networks and you want to host one, be our guest. Also, this picture, by the way, is hyperlinked. If you click on it, it will bring you to the page that you can scroll down and find your own network. So Atlas measurements, they have, there are three groups of Atlas measurements. One is built-in global measurements, built-in regional measurements, and both are run by the RIPE NCC, but also customized measurements that are run by users. So for customized measurements, they actually provide you with much more opportunities than just built-in measurements. However, built-in measurements is also a great tool, because they are available for everyone and you can see them through RIPEstat, for example. But customized measurements, they actually provide this much more opportunities and make RIPE Atlas much more usable for you. So I listed here a few cases, but that's not a full list. So if you want to see more cases or what research was done and analysis based on RIPE Atlas data, which it's published on RIPE Labs. If you don't know the RIPE Labs, it's a platform where we publish articles from the community, but also from the RIPE NCC. So it's a good opportunity to write an article that could be about the work you do. Contact us, and we will be happy to provide you this platform for your either research or like interesting case from your work. Customized measurements are available not to everyone, so they're available to Atlas Probe hosts and Anchor hosts, of course, to sponsors. So these are organizations that actually put money towards creating and making more Atlas probes, and we always welcome sponsors for RIPE Atlas and also for RIPE NCC members. So they automatically get that opportunity to do customized measurements. So how it works? Creating a customized measurement, that takes, you need credits for. And you can use those credits to create those measurements. So you earn the credits when you are hosting probes or anchors, or then you are sponsoring. And then you can use them towards creating own measurements. Why we put that system in place? This is actually not to overwork the system, but also to prevent abuse. So to prevent that these measurements are done only like from certain networks, and there is no room for anyone else. So that actually was everything I wanted to tell you about these measurement tools. And again, everything in this presentation is linked, so there is much more to read about, to see how you can use it. You can start, actually, or to continue this, if you're not familiar yet, by watching these two webinars on RIPE Atlas and RIPEstat. And in these webinars, you will see more information, but also in interactive way, you will see actually how you can use it. One note that RIPE Atlas webinar is a bit outdated. RIPEstat webinar is a bit outdated. So it shows you the old interface of RIPEstat, but everything, the content is exactly the same. So BGP Play haven't changed, any other tools also haven't changed. So I watched it before this talk, and actually I found it quite useful, so I can guarantee that you will find good information there. And we are currently working on updating that webinar, so the new version will come next year. So that was actually it about the tools. And last note from me, join us at RIPE 87, which will be held in Rome from 27th of November to the 1st of December. And I hope to see many of you at the meeting. So I'm ready to take questions if you have any.
Hi, I have a, this isn't on. Is it on? Hi, I have a question from Leo Vagoda, who asks, what is the desired ratio between probes and anchors?
Design ratio?
The desired ratio, as in the proportion.
I can tell you that that was done on purpose because we have 12,000 probes and like less than 800 of anchors. So I can't tell you if it was the ratio, the desired ratio or not, but that's actually a good question, and I'll bring it to our engineers.
Thank you.
Thanks, Leo.
Hi, and a related question. Back when there were only hardware anchors and probes, there was RIPE stopped handing out physical probes where there was quite a sort of dense distribution already. But presumably there's nothing stopping anyone setting up a virtual probe. That's fine.
That's
not
fine.
a problem at all.
Yes.
So if someone's got an interesting use case, that's absolutely okay.
Exactly.
And the same for virtual anchors?
Yeah, so like in this country, it's not that we are making a call, host more Atlas probes, because you guys are doing very well. So that's a big thank for this community. However, if you want to host a virtual probes, that's always available.
Okay. And just to clarify, all of these things are completely open. You don't need to be a RIPE member to use them?
No, that's not. So to host, you don't have to be a RIPE member. To use, you don't have to be a RIPE member. Only if you are a RIPE member, even if you don't host any probe or anchors, you can still create your customized measurements. That's like a benefit that only RIPE members have.
Yeah. The other thing I do notice is every now and then you see a researcher who wants to run some tests and they ask for some credits. So we and others can donate them, and sometimes you see like these crazy number of millions of credits that are being donated to researchers, probably more than they can ever use. But people can run anchors and then donate to others to help them.
That's a very good note. So please contact those who have a lot of credits.
Hi, I'm one of the researchers that uses your routing information service to kind of collect routing data. And one of the things I think at the moment is quite interesting is that although we've got quite good observability over the European region and over the Americas region, what we don't have is good visibility over the kind of Africa region. Is there any interest or intent to roll out anything more to collect data from there?
Yeah, so this is where we put our, most of the efforts to get it more in other countries. Because if you look at the distribution of Atlas probes, I only showed you the UK, but if you look at worldwide, you would actually see the picture what George just described. And for the next year, we will focus on getting more Atlas probes in Central Asia, because this is our service region, and we do see that there are very few of Atlas probes that actually limit how we can see what is happening in that region. But if you know someone from any other country, like outside Europe, that is, if you want to be like, someone who will do that for us and also ask people around in those countries, we are always welcoming that. Josh, would you like to say a few more words how you use the RIS data? I was hoping you will.
Yeah, I can do. So in my case, we're looking kind of at BGP data and mapping it out and plotting kind of who connects to who and understanding sort of common dependencies in the internet, which for parts of the world is much easier, where we have a good overview of what's connected to what and we can infer kind of relationships. But when it comes to Africa, because there are so few probes in the Africa region, it's much more difficult to do that in any sort of granular level of detail. So it's very, very difficult to work out quite what's going on. So it's more difficult to make conclusions about that, and then more difficult for us to make any sort of informed judgment about what might be a good route forward for that kind of area of the internet. And when it comes to informing the kind of design of new protocols and that kind of thing, it's challenging if we don't have a good overview of what's going on already. So it'd be really helpful. If anyone does have any networks in Africa that could possibly post a probe or something, that'd be really useful.
Thanks.
Hi, my name's James. Thank you very much for the services that you guys offer. I use the data that you guys provide. I find it super helpful, super interesting. So firstly, thank you. And then second of all, the root collectors that you've got around, you had the slide earlier with links who have got like 20-something years of root collecting. Are you guys still like actively looking for more locations to put root collectors in the world, or have you kind of reached a point of equilibrium where you've got enough and you don't want?
Yeah, the second. So we are not no longer proactively looking for new locations for root collectors. So in that regards, we believe we have a good coverage of the networks in the world.
Okay, then I'll ask the sort of follow-on question, which is, if we happen to find somewhere where there's not so good coverage and we could offer you the option to host a root collector there, would you be interested?
Yeah, this has to be reviewed by the people who are like working closer this RIS data. So the email address is ris@ripe.net. I can't make my own judgment. Please send it to them, and they will be able to review that.
Cool. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Very simple one. Your map has connected collectors, disconnected collectors, and abandoned collectors. What's the difference between disconnected and abandoned?
Yeah, abandoned is it took some more time. That
It's been disconnected a long time.
Yes.
Fair enough. Thank you very much.
That was that picture. Just go back to that for every. No. So this one.
Yeah.
You were referring to. Well spotted.
Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.